First and foremost, we give all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High God, Yahweh. We do so in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world calls Christ, Yahweh Shai. It's your brother, Chief Priest, Allah's Alvin Lawyer, aka the Gorilla Hebrew. Back at y'all another live class. Make sure y'all like, sub, share, and super chat. Shalom, shalom. Oh yeah.
That's online. Video not available. Well, they take your guys, they can hear us.
Yeah, what from? It's super chat.
Yeah, turn the phones all the way down.
Yeah, this audio in here is crazy. No. All right. So yeah, again, all praise to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Again, we back at you with another live class. So we're gonna go over a portion of the gospel tonight. Matthew 15. We're going to Matthew 15, we're gonna read to the end of Matthew 17 tonight through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom, everybody. All right, so Matthew 15, start at the top.
This is Matthew chapter 15, verse 1.
Oh, no. All right, go ahead, read.
Matthew 15 and 1. It says, Then came to Yahushua scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, Why do thy disciples transgress the tradition of the elders?
See that? The what?
The tradition of the elders.
Right, so this was an issue that Yahushua was constantly facing in Israel. Him breaking tradition, right? And you even now have people who do the same thing in Israel. Why do you read it again?
It says, Why do thy disciples transgress the tradition of the elders?
Just now. Why doesn't your camp do this or that? Predicated upon a tradition that some elder established versus something that's in the Bible. Not saying that these traditions are wrong, but they're not the laws of the Most High God, and they shouldn't be treated as the laws of the Most High God. Right? They are simply traditions. Right? So matter of fact, give me that precept for vain that they worship me. Matter of fact, because this is a constant problem with Israel. Israel will esteem tradition over law, right? You go into any church in America and tell me what's more upheld in that church. Is it the laws of the Most High, or is it tradition? Easter is in 2 weeks, right? They're gonna have Easter. You can't find Easter anywhere in this Bible, right? Other than the mistranslation, you look that up in the Greek and tell you Passover, right? So you can't find. And even the Easter that they're doing is in no way related to the Bible. Their Easter is, an egg, that has babies in his womb a rabbit laying eggs, which you don't even do. That's a tradition, right? And that goes to its pagan origin, and it's a tradition that's been given and it's get pushed by the church. But no laws get pushed by the church. Every single thing you see in the church is all traditions. None of it is laws. right? So this is the same thing that our people uphold, right? When they see us on the corner, dressed how we're dressed, wearing our ancient apparel, fringes and mitres, turbans, whatever you want to call them, that people go, well, what the hell is that? Because that's not the tradition. The tradition of people who thump this Bible is niggas who wear suits, ties, things of that nature, right? That's tradition. So when you go against that tradition, Israel goes, well, why do y'all not follow the tradition? You guys want to stop celebrating Christmas? Why do you want to break the tradition? You guys want to not worship a white Jesus? Why would y'all break the tradition? Right? So this is how you know who the Israelites are. Nobody else is this dead set on stupid tradition, right? Than so-called blacks and Hispanics. Nobody. Read.
It's Isaiah 29:13. Wherefore the Lord said, for as much as this people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips do honor me,
Read on.
but have removed their heart far from me.
The heart of our people is far from the Most High. Our people talking about praise Jesus, praise God, all this nonsense that our people are constantly talking, but the mind of our people, because that's really what the heart is dealing with, our people's mind is set far from the Most High God. Because the truth of the Most High God is right here in this Bible. The Most High gives us explicit instructions to follow. Emphatically. He gives us explicit instructions to follow, and our people don't follow it, showing that their mind is far from the Most High. Read it from the top.
This is Isaiah 29:13. Wherefore the Lord said, for as much as this people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips do honor me.
That's right. They say things that gives you the impression that by what they say, they're followers of God. They're believers. They're people with faith, right? They care about the Most High. Predicated upon simply what they say, read.
It says, but have removed their heart far from me.
But in their actions, which is their mind is in control, is with their heart, and that's what dictates their actions. They're far from the Most High God. They're not following the Most High God in those ways, right? That's our people. And that's the same thing that Yahushua encountered. Same thing that we encounter, where tradition is upheld over law, right? So read.
And their fear toward me is taught by the precept of men.
By what?
The precept of men.
The precept of men. So the laws that men give, Andre Shelby, Shalom, right? So it's given by the precept of men. So commandments that men simply invent. That's what people think following God is. So people go, they look at us and they say, you're not godly. God doesn't hate. God doesn't do this. God is not aggressive. Right? They say all those various things. Why do they say those things? Because they follow precepts of men. And in the church they went to, they've been taught God is like this. And it's contrary to what the Bible says. So when we come in the actual spirit, according to what the book says, now it's a problem. Marissa Younger, Yabashmi Ashabrakata says, the water. And this is how we know that we are the men of the Lord. This is how we know we're following the right thing as Hebrew Israelites in this truth. How do we know that? Because the Bible just said what it said. They teach the precept of men. We follow the Most High God, right? And they say they follow God, but everything they do is after something that some man established. Mitch, can't pronounce your last name, Mitch Yabashim Shabrakata, right? So we see that in life every day, right? And this scripture in truth, this needs to come out more. And we need to read a few verses of it, because when we really analyze that, this is the constant battle that we're having with our people. That they have been indoctrinated with that church, and the precepts of men in that church dictate to them and in their mind what God is like versus the word of God, which is madness. How does the word of the guy in question not the authority over what people say about him? Jason Outlaw, right? So go ahead. Yeah, no video. There's no video today, y'all. We're here in a new spot. We're just getting settled. We're here in Atlanta, so most high will we're gonna have production at an all-time high soon enough. So make sure y'all just bear with us. No video today. Bear with us, right? So read.
That's it on that.
Okay, back to let's get back to the gospel. The words of Mashiach Yahushua. Read on.
It says, this is Matthew chapter 15, verse 3.
Uh-huh.
But he answered and said unto them, why do ye also transgress the commandment of God by your tradition?
See that? You transgress the commandment of God. This scripture needs to come out on every Christian that comes past your camp. Why do you transgress the commandment of God? Why are you celebrating Easter in 2 weeks? Why are you celebrating Christmas? Right? Why is your pastor sitting on a pulpit alleging to be a man of God, and if you take one look at him, you can name off the top of your head a dozen commandments he's breaking? He's got a lined up beard. Derek Yehuda, Yahweh Shemi Ashar Barakatah Watha Wada for your continual support. Right? He has a shaved beard. He has a bald head. He has pork seeping through his pores. You understand what I'm saying? No fringes on. We got 4 right there. Any pastor in America, you could just round those off, just off the top of your head. So why do you, read that again. Let's read the words of Hamashiach Yahushua, who they claim to follow, who they claim to believe in. Let's read what he said. Read.
Matthew 15:3. But he answered and said unto them, why do ye also transgress the commandment of God by your tradition?
Why do you take your traditions and put them over the word of God? Why do your traditions cause you to sin against God? That's Yahweh's very reasonable question that he's asking. Why? That's the question we need to ask every Christian that comes by camp. Why do you choose to forsake the laws of God in favor of traditions and precepts of men? Why? Reasonable question. Go ahead.
It says, for God commanded, saying, honor thy father and mother.
Well, real quick, Lens, there is an element of traditions of men that is going to exist. But if that tradition of man is not taught as law and not in contradiction of the laws, there's nothing wrong with tradition. Nothing wrong with tradition. But when that tradition causes you to sin, that's a problem. Or when those traditions are being esteemed as authoritative as the law of the Most High, that's a problem. But outside of that, there's nothing wrong with traditions. Everyone's going to have traditions. Some camps have a certain way that they salute each other, right? Some camps may have a mantra or a chant that they say when camp is over or before camp, or a certain prayer that they put up. That's their tradition. It's not law, and there's nothing wrong with it. But if they said everyone has to salute this way, this is the way that, no, that's not in the Bible now. Everyone doesn't have to salute that way. You guys choose to, and you hold to that tradition, and that's fine. But when they start teaching his law, that is a problem. So there's nothing wrong with tradition, but tradition that conflicts with law, or tradition that's taught as law, is a problem. Go ahead.
It says, for God commanded, saying,
Go ahead.
For God commanded, saying, honor thy father and mother, and he that curseth father or mother, let him die the death.
That's right. So you're not supposed to curse your parents, right? Read.
It says, verse 5.
That's what Yahushua says, the Torah says. So now read.
But ye say, whosoever shall say to his father or his mother, it is a gift, by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me.
That's right. Read.
And honor not his father or his mother, he shall be free.
So basically, what Yahushua is saying, you guys will overlook somebody doing a sin that's worthy of death, which is the dishonor of the parents, as long as they bribe you. As long as you get a bribe, as long as you get a gift in exchange for that, you will overlook sin. That's what Yahushua is saying. That's how tradition is contradicting the law. And that's, oh shit, hold on. Salakia. King J. Yahweh Shemi Ashar Barakatah Watha Wada. Go ahead.
It says, and honor not his father or his mother, he shall be free.
See that he shall be free. The law says he shall surely be punished for that, right? But the traditions of men say, oh, that's all right. Go ahead.
Thus have ye made the commandment of God of none effect.
See that? Of none effect, because the commandments are there for you to implement punishments on people who break it, right? Just the same as the laws of America, right? If I'm going 85 and the damn speed limit sign say 50, and the cop doesn't pull me over when he sees me do it, when he has knowledge of me doing it, and doesn't write me a ticket, what does that make? That makes the law of none effect. When you're not punished for blatantly breaking it, the law is of none effect. That's what he's saying, right? Read.
It says, thus have you made the commandment of God of none effect by your tradition.
By what?
Your tradition.
By your tradition. That's the problem right there. The traditions of men making laws of the Most High of none effect. Therein lies the issue, and that's what Yahushua was coming to combat vehemently. That's what we need to be against. And one of the primary perpetrators of this on the earth, or I would probably say the primary perpetrator of this on the earth, is the Christian church. Their traditions will cause them to sin, right? That even goes into dealing with birthdays and things of that nature, right? Because you got to think about, it's a tradition to celebrate the day of somebody's birth every year. But understanding the origin of that, it's pure idolatry. It's your chance to be God for a day, to be a God for a day, to be venerated as a deity for a day. That's a problem. That's idolatry. But tradition tells you you have to do it, right? Or it's for the kids, or we got to get Christmas presents and things of that nature. We got to get an Easter basket. We went Walmart earlier today. What do we see? They got a whole section of Easter baskets, right? When Christmas time come around, they're gonna have a whole section of Christmas decoration. Halloween come around, it's gonna be a whole section of Halloween costumes and candy, right? Because of tradition. And the church upholds these very traditions. That's the cool thing about it. The church is going to have Christmas. The church is going to have Easter. The church is going to have Halloween. Most of them. Some of them might not, or they might try to clean Halloween up. But it's Halloween. Kids dress up. They get candy, man. That's the same thing as the world, right? So that's traditions. Go ahead, award on.
So one of my big moms was like, "Oh, because it's my son's birthday," and she's like, "Oh, you don't want to call him on his birthday?" I said, "No, we don't. I don't celebrate birthdays anymore." She said, "Well, you need to start having kids out of wedlock."
See that? But I'm gonna tell you how evil she is. She's so evil because what she's doing is, you're trying to be righteous, right? And she brings up a shortcoming that she thinks you have, and as an excuse for you, as to say to you, why even try to be righteous? You're wicked already. Just keep being wicked. That's what that's saying. You're wicked, so just keep being. Don't even try to be righteous. You've done something wrong. Never try to make it right. That's the mindset of a lot of people. Well, you used to be this, and that. You used to do this. That's why Yahweh Shai said a prophet is not without honor, but in his own city. Because when they know you and they know your past, they look like some people go, "Oh my, this brother's changed his life." They respect it, right? Then some people go, "Man, this nigga used to do this. I don't believe that." Right? I don't believe it. And you go someplace where they don't know you, and all they know you for being righteous, and then they honor you there. Right? But amongst your own people, that's when you don't get honored. Right? And that's a prime example of that. And even Yahweh Shai had to deal with that. He had to deal with that, not because they knew him for being wicked, because they looked at his family like they weren't affluent and special. These are just some, this nigga was a carpenter, whatever. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't no big deal. And because of that, they downplayed the Messiah. So it's something that we all face, and that was a prime example of that, right? But go ahead.
It says, "Ye hypocrites, well did Isaiah prophesy of you, saying, This people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth."
So he said Isaiah made a prophecy, and it was it was right and exact. And it's about this people. Who are this people? Israel. And specifically, the southern kingdom, right? Specifically, and we see this amongst our people, and specifically the southern kingdom, right? No other kingdom got traditions, don't get me wrong, but we especially see the black church operating in this very spirit. The same spirit that Yahweh Shai is being encountered with right now is the same spirit that the black church comes in all the time to us. They esteem the traditions. Speaking in tongues, laying the hands, speaking all that, that's all traditional. And we don't do that. And then they look at us like we're crazy because we stopped doing that to read the Bible. Right? Read.
It says, "This people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth, and honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Mm-hmm. But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men." That's
what they do in church. In church they call it Sunday worship. Sunday worship is vain. Why is Sunday worship vain? Read that again.
It says, "But in vain they do worship me."
In vain they do worship me. Sunday worship is vain. Read.
"Teaching for doctrines the commandments of men."
The reason why they were worshiping God in vain is because they teach for doctrine the commandments of men over the commandments of God. That's why everything that goes on in that church is vanity. It's not of the Most High, because it is the doctrines and commandments of men. Right? Read on.
I'm glad we read this chapter. Verse 10. And he called the multitude and said unto them, "Hear and understand. Not that which goeth into the mouth defileth the man, but that which cometh out of the mouth, this defileth the man."
So this is something. It's funny that the Christians will avoid those first 9 verses of this chapter and go right there and say, "You can eat pork." That's commandments of men. We're going to prove it now in the spirit. Right? Read on.
Because I'm going to read verse 2 again. This is Matthew 15:2. Why do thy disciples transgress the tradition of the elders, for they wash not their hands when they eat bread?
The key part here is context. The context of this whole situation is eating food with dirty hands, with hands that haven't been washed. Not eating food that is according to the Levitical laws unclean. Not that. Not breaking the laws. But simply washing your hands, right? So what is happening? Yahushua and the 12 are getting ready to eat without washing their hands. That's all that's in. They're not getting ready to eat bacon. They're not eating the pepperoni pizza. They're not eating fried catfish. They're eating and they haven't washed their hands. Now, D. Brown, Yahweh Shem Yahushua Barakatah Wata Wata. So that's what's going on here. Unwashed hands, right? We've all done it. Ideally, what do? We wash our hands. Your mama, you grew up, your mom tell you to wash your hands. Grandma, boy, go wash your hands, right? We all heard it. But sometimes you might eat and you didn't wash your hands, right? Is that ideal? No. Is it the end of the world? Did God say you have to wash your hands before you eat? No. These niggas look at it like, man, if you won't wash it, but this is nigga. It's not the white man. The white man does not care about washing his hands before he eats. The white man, you go into a restaurant, right? And it reminds the employees that they have to wash their hands.
Right.
That is invented for the white man. All right? But the black and Hispanic people are not no better than prepare people's food. Without we washing our hands, we washing them. Esau don't even wash the meat.
Yeah,
That's created for the white man.
Yeah,
You look at the white man cooking. He don't season the meat. He don't wash the meat. He just wants the meat. Here's the meat, right?
Yeah.
Now, unwashed, unseasoned. Yeah. Here's the meat.
Yeah, uncooked sometimes.
Uncooked. That's the devil, right? He just, here's the meat. Yeah. We killed the animal, devour it. You know what I'm saying? As is. That's the devil thinking, right? So we know to wash our hands. But they start teaching it like it's Leviticus 19:46 that one must wash his hands before thou eat, lest thee be condemned. Now that's not in the book, right? So go ahead. So that's the context of this. Not pork, not shellfish, not lobster, right? The context of this is eating food without your hands being washed. Go ahead.
It says, I'm going to read verse 11 again. Not that which goeth into the mouth defileth a man, but that which cometh out of the mouth, this defileth a man.
That defiles a man, that which cometh out of his mouth, right? So people go, so we can eat pork, because what defiles us is what comes out of us, right? Read.
So eat a polar bear's liver then. Verse 12. Then came his disciples and said unto him, knowest thou that the Pharisees were offended after they heard this saying?
They was mad as hell, right? Read on.
But he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father hath not planted shall be rooted up.
Right, shall be rooted up. Meaning the Pharisees are not of God, those Pharisees that were there. You had Pharisees that were righteous, don't get me wrong, but that whole sect that was coming against Yahushua, they weren't of God. So when they came, read that part again.
It says, but he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father...
No, read the verse before.
Okay,
and read into that verse.
Verse 12. Then came his
Yahushua teaches us a very valuable lesson here. Go ahead.
Then came his disciples and said unto him, knowest thou that the Pharisees were offended?
He came to Yahushua and said, man, the Pharisees mad as hell at you. The Pharisees is tripping. They're talking about you, etc. Right? Read.
And after they heard this saying, but he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father hath not planted shall be rooted up. Let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind.
So like you can start back from the top again. Why I asked you to and read it back down, my fault.
Matthew 15:12. Then came his disciples and said unto him, knowest thou that the Pharisees were offended after they heard this saying?
So the Pharisees are mad at you, right? Don't you know that the Pharisees are mad at you? Read.
After they heard this saying, but he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father hath not planted shall be rooted up.
So why did Yahushua say that? Because he's showing you he's not worried about the Pharisees. The Pharisees are going to come to naught. That's what Yahushua said. The Most High is not with them. They are going to come to naught. I'm not worried about if the Pharisees are offended about what I said. To hell with them. The Most High is going to break that thing up, so to speak. Right? Because that's not of the Most High, their counsel. Right? Read.
Let them alone.
Just leave them alone. To hell with them. Right? Yeah, and this is a lesson to say you don't got to respond to everybody who have something to say about you, who has a criticism. Oh, we get so much criticism on Instagram, on Facebook. somebody tagged YouTube video, damn Twitter, some idiot in the street. Yahweh Shai said, let them alone. The Most High, what they're doing is not of God. It meaning what? It's going to amount to nothing when this is all said and done. It's going to get them judged when this is all said and done. So I'm not worried about those idiots. That's what Yahweh Shai said. Read.
They be blind leaders of the blind.
Them niggas are blind. That's what Yahweh Shai says about the Pharisee. Those Negroes are blind. Go ahead.
And if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch.
And that's what's going on. They are falling into ditches. That's their fate. That's the fate of a lot of these people who are coming against the word of the Lord right now. They're blind and they're going to fall into a ditch. What are they blind of? They're blind of the spiritual wisdom, right? Give me that eye salve in Revelations. Have their eyes anointed with eye salve. Because only certain people can see. Everybody can't see, man. Can't see this truth. Can't see what's going on. Can't see the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the Most High and Yahweh Shai. A lot of people can't see that. Right? So a lot of people can't have 2020 vision, have 2015 vision, anything like that. But that's not what Hamashiach is talking about. This is what he's talking about. Read that.
This is Revelation 3:18. I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire,
Read on.
that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear. And anoint thine eyes with eye salve.
Anoint thy eyes with eye salve. Eye salve is the oil that is in an owl's eyes that allows him to see with night vision, right? An owl is up at night. They hunt at night. They could see a damn rat 50 yards away, swoop in, grab it and eat it because they have something called eye salve in their eyes, right? So how do we apply that now through the Spirit? Very simply, hold that Job 10 and 22. Right? How do we apply that now in the Spirit? Eye salve. Go ahead.
Job 10 and 22. A land of darkness, as darkness itself.
That's what we're in. We're in a land of darkness, as darkness itself. So in this land of darkness, gross darkness, utter darkness, we have to have eyes to see. There's so much deception and evil that is in this world that in order to see this truth, your eyes have to be anointed. Not your little eyes, your spiritual eyes that allow you to see these things and to see the evil in this world and to see the truth. Your eyes got to be anointed with eye salve so you can see in the dark. All right, that's what's going on. So when Yahweh Shai said these guys are blind, they don't have the eye salve. So they're walking around in this land of darkness and they can't see the light in this land of darkness. They can't see the truth in this land of darkness. So they're blind. And what's going to inevitably happen to somebody who's blind, walking around in the dark, they're going to fall into a ditch. So what's going to happen, right? So, so go ahead. Back to Matthew.
Okay. It says, verse 15, then answered Peter and said unto him, declare unto us this parable. And Yahweh Shai said, are ye also yet without understanding?
Oh, you don't know? The 12 don't understand what he's saying, right? Go ahead.
Do you not ye yet understand that whatsoever entereth in at the mouth goeth into the belly and is cast into the draught?
What is Yahweh Shai saying here? He's saying if you eat something, it's going to come out of you, okay? You have a waste system in your body to dispose of everything that comes out of it, right? It goes into the draught. Read.
But those things which proceed out of thy mouth,
out of your mouth, the things that you say, read,
come forth from the heart.
Come forth from your mind, right? So what he's saying is what's in your mind is going to corrupt you more than what you eat. Because if you eat something without your hands being washed, it's going to come out of you. Bacteria will run its course. Worst case scenario, you have a virus that runs its course, you're fine, right? But what's in your mind? That's hard to change. It's hard to get out of you. What's in your mind, right? Read.
It says that whatsoever enters, but those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man.
Now that defiles you. The evil in your mind that causes it to come out of your mouth. Go ahead.
For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. These are the things which defileth a man. But to eat with unwashed hands defileth not a man.
To eat pork
to eat with unwashing hands.
Nothing to do with unclean food.
Yeah, no.
Simply eating without your hands being washed. Start back up.
This is Matthew chapter 15, verse 19. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts. These are all things that are against the law. Evil thoughts, murders against the law.
Because in order to murder somebody, what do you have to do? Think about it.
Yeah.
It's in my mind. I want to kill this nigga. Right? It's in your mind. You're thinking about killing this nigga over and over and over again in your mind. And then you do it. That's harder to fix than eating food without washing hands. Simple as that. Precept.
James 1:14. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin.
When lust hath conceived, the lust is in your mind, it's conceived in your mind, and then it brings forth sin, and it manifests in your flesh, and you do the sin. This is what Yahushua is teaching here. Not, it's okay to eat pork. The same thing they do with Acts 10. Acts 10 is a lot more deeper and profound than allowing somebody to eat pork, yet people go there to talk about pork. When it tells you in the parable, it's not about animals, it's about men. Right? But our people are so weak and they love pork so goddamn much that they'll take powerful parables in the Bible and make it a license for them to break the laws of God and eat pork that's killing them every day. Right? And the God of the one, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Barakatah Wata Wada. Go ahead.
It says, then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death.
Right? You think it in your mind. What's in your mind comes out into your body. It manifests and you do it, and now you're worthy of a death sentence by God. That's what Yahushua is teaching us. And his brother James eloquently sums it up here in the first chapter of his book. Right? Read on.
Let me go back.
The God of one, Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barakatah Wata Wada again. Dallas, we're at the Giant Eyeball. All you got to do is Google the eyeball in Dallas, and that's where the camp is at every Saturday. Go ahead.
It says, verse 21, then Yahushua went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Zidon. Mm-hmm. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast.
Read on.
And cried unto him, saying, have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. Mm-hmm. My daughter is grievously vexed.
Okay, so in Matthew, it calls her a Canaanite woman. There's another account that calls her a Syrophoenician and a Greek, right? Syrophoenician and Greek by nation. The old teaching is this is a white woman, right? Christ called a white woman a dog, right? That's the sensationalism of it. There is not a shred of truth to that. There's that camp in Seattle is on 4th and Pine Saturday afternoons. 4th and Pine in Seattle. I was just there. Look for the video footage of when I was there last weekend. Give me the account that calls her a Syrophoenician, right? Does this mean white women are not dogs? Certainly not. They certainly are dogs. But Yahushua didn't even, as far as we have documented in the Bible, Yahushua never even talked to a white woman, right? He only talked to one white person in the Bible. What one white person did Yahushua actually have a conversation with? Who knows? Pilate. That's it. Even Herod, when Herod came, he refused to talk to Herod. The only Edomite, the only white person he ever talked to was Pilate. Other than that, he was dealing with Israel, and in this instance, the Hamitic woman, right? But he wasn't Esau. He wasn't even dealing with Esau, right? He's coming back to really do a special level of destruction and bring death to the white man. He's not dealing with it by any stretch of the imagination. So, let me know when you got the Syrophoenician. You got it? Go ahead.
It was Mark 7, and I was getting to the point, verse 26. The woman was a Greek, a Syrophoenician by nation.
But what?
By nation.
So her nationality was Syrophoenician, but she was a Greek. What does that mean? The same way you had Israelites that were what? Greeks. Meaning was a Greek citizenship. She was living in a Hellenistic civilization and society. But her nation was Syrophoenician. This shows you that there were people who were Greeks who were not Greeks.
Yeah, that's good.
Right? Her nation is Syrophoenician. Who are the Syrophoenicians? The Syrophoenicians are what they began to call what became of ancient Syria and the ancient Phoenicians, or those the people of Tyre and Zidon. That's Phoenicia, right? So you have Phoenicia and you have Syria, and they merged and they began to be reckoned as one people and one kingdom. What does that show you? That shows you that you have Shemitic and Hamitic Negroid people, for lack of a better term. Because Syrians, the people of Aram, who we were called, right? We were called Syrians, going back to Jacob, right? Going back to Jacob, were a Negroid people, okay? And they were merged, and the white man started looking at the Phoenicians and the Syrians as one people, even though there was one Hamitic and one Shemitic, right? What happened to these people? They got driven into Africa, same way we did, right? So what does that mean? That you have certain Africans that are Shemitic. Every African is not a Hamite. You have Shemitic Africans. You have the people of Aram. You have some of the Midianites, because that's where the word Africa comes from. It comes from one of Abraham's grandsons, Afar, right? That's where you get the word Africa from. So you have Shemitic peoples that are there, the people of Aram, the original Syrians, because you have Syrians now, those are Ishmaelites. Those are not the real Syrians that are in Syria now, right? The people of Syria, just like the people of Canaan, just like the people of Israel, we all got drove into Africa. That's where we all went. So some of the people, in specific, if you look up the Tuareg people, the Tuareg people there in North Africa, predominantly like Libya, those are Shemitic Africans, so you can see, right? They're living separately from Hamites, but they are quote-unquote African or black people, but they come from the line of Shem. They come from the line of Abraham. You see what I'm saying? They're related to us. You understand what I'm saying? The Tuareg people in Libya. Most of Libya, they're Ishmaelite, but you have a group of black nomads in Libya. Those are the people of Afar.
Was Gaddafi was from there?
Gaddafi is supposed to be an Ishmaelite, but Gaddafi viewed himself as an African. You see what I'm saying? So maybe he could have had part of them in him. I don't know. But especially right before they killed Gaddafi, even going back to the 80s, Gaddafi always identified himself as African. He didn't identify himself as Arab so much, because he was trying to bring that African union and bring the African currency, right, with all the African resources. So he started to push a philosophy of Africa, because he was trying to bring all the African countries together, right? Like when he went to the UN, in 2008 when Obama got elected, and he said, "I'm happy for our African brother is the president." You see what I'm saying? All this, he started coming with the real African, real Kemetic vibrations. Yeah, he was a Pan-African, right? And then he remember in the 80s he was funding different black people in America. You see what I'm saying? Bringing them over to Libya, giving them money, giving them education, etc. Right? Because he wanted to come against America. So that's where the thing with Gaddafi is. But where was I at? The Syro-Phoenician, boom. So yes, you have Shemitic people in Africa as well. All Africans, even though predominantly Africans are Hamites, you have Shemites, people of Aram, the people of Abraham's other kids that he had, as well as Israelites over there, right? So, and then Ishmaelites are over there too. In all North Africa, Libya, Algeria, Morocco, Ishmael's all up in there. You got Esau. So you have a lot of Hebrews and a lot of Shemites that are also in Africa amongst the Hamitic people, right? So read.
It says, this is Matthew chapter 15, verse 23. It says, verse 22 again. "And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy
So
on
this woman is a Canaanite, a Phoenician is a Canaanite, right? The Syro-Phoenicians are, again, a merger of the Syrians and the Phoenicians, a Shemitic, or what they call an Afro-Asiatic people. So this woman, though, is actually a Canaanite. This is not an Israelite woman, right? Read.
It says, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David.
She's acknowledging that she's beneath this Hebrew Israelite. This Hebrew Israelite of the royal lineage of King David, right? Read on.
Thou son of David, my daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. And he answered her not a word.
He didn't even acknowledge the existence of this heathen. Go ahead.
But he answered her not a word, and his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she cried after us.
Get her the hell out of here, right? That's what the disciples said. Man, look, man, I need her out of here. Right, go ahead.
But he answered and said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
I'm not talking to her because I'm not dealing with her, because this is not for her. He's making it clear this is not an Israelite. Salaki, go ahead.
But he answered and said unto her, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of
So
Israel.
Yahweh Shai is making it clear. This woman is not an Israelite, right? Read.
Then came she and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. But he answered and said, It is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it to dogs.
It's not good for me to take what is rightfully belongs to an Israelite and give it to a dog. It's not. That's not the right thing to do. So Yahweh Shai is saying it's wrong to do it, right? Read.
Then she said, Truth, Lord.
She said, yeah, you're right. It's not right to do what is for an Israelite and give it to me, not an Israelite. This man is a racist.
Yeah, that's...
And you say he loves everyone. He is a fervent racist. He's talking to this woman like, you're a dog and it's just, you're not worthy of the gifts that I have to give you.
Yeah, at first he didn't even want to talk to her.
He didn't even acknowledge her existence. He wasn't doing no talking, right? But this is a man that loves everybody and died for everybody. This was a racist man, right? Just like us, racist.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Go ahead.
It says, and she said, Truth, Lord, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their...
I just want a crumb. Just give me a crumb, right? If a crumb falls and drops to the side, just give me a crumb, right? Go ahead, officer.
It says, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their master's table. So we're the masters of the other nations. That's what that's saying right
And she's acknowledging that.
Yes.
Here. And Yahweh Shai is acknowledging that and saying that as well.
That's what the heathen should listen to the videos. They should just acknowledge that we're your masters.
A devil did that at camp yesterday, right? You know? Go ahead. Look for that footage soon. Go ahead.
Yeah. Then Yahushua answered and said unto her, O woman, great is thy faith.
Oh, you got faith. Go ahead.
Be it unto thee even as thou wilt. And her daughter was made whole from that very hour.
So now what's happening is nothing happens to her. Her daughter is made whole. So the general consensus is her daughter was likely an Israelite, though she was a Canaanite. Because Yahweh already vehemently has said, it's not right for me to do this for a Canaanite, right? So it's safe to deduce that her daughter was in fact an Israelite. You have something?
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'm going to read the same when he said, the same account in Mark 7:29. And he said unto her, for this saying, go thy way, the devil's gone out of thy daughter. That's not, you just, okay, cool. You acknowledge that? All right, now get on, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So you can look at it as either two ways. There's only really two ways to look at this. Either her daughter was an Israelite, or he just said, all right, whatever. Since you're so humble, all right, whatever. You get what you want. It's really not a big deal. I could just heal your daughter if I want to. So whatever, here it is, she's healed. That's fine. Because you acknowledge that you're beneath me. You acknowledge that you're under me. I'm your master, right? And my people are better than your people. All right, go ahead. Either way, there's racism here. There is ethnic supremacy, as Vocab Malone says. There's an ethnic hierarchy that's clearly being displayed. There's favoritism. It's racism. It's separatism. It's segregation. Okay, it's Jesus Crow. All right, we're going to call it Jesus Crow. You said what? You see what I'm saying? That's clearly what's going on here, right? But people read this and say, look, he healed the... No. He was a fervent racist to this woman. That's the same as a white man, as a when we were in slavery, a black woman coming and asking the master for some medicine for her daughter. Please, master, please.
No, exactly.
No, nigger, go away.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That same level of racism, Yahweh just had for this Canaanite woman. That same level of racism and nationalism.
Yeah, kind of. And then, like, the slave woman, she just begs for him, you're right, I'm a slave, And he just pities her, like, okay, here, nigger, here's your guy. You know what I mean? Here's your top syrup.
Literally. Now get the hell away from me.
Yes, literally, yes.
It's what happened. Right? Aliyah Shabbai. Na'ima Yabashim Yashar Brakatah Watawada says for your continued support, right? So go ahead.
It says Jesus Crow, Jim Crow. That's great.
Jesus Crow. I'm coining that. The Jesus Crow laws.
That's right.
Right? You heard of Jim Crow, right? They also had something called One Crow. We're gonna do a video on One Crow soon, because what a lot of people don't know is what they think is so liberal in California, where they were just free of racism. They had something called One Crow laws to discriminate against the tribe of Issachar, right? But it's okay, because we're going to bring in Jesus Crow and the Yahweh Shai Crow laws. What are Yahweh Shai Crow laws? They discriminate against all the nations that are black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. When they put on that door, no blacks, no Mexicans, no dogs, right? Showing you that they're equating us with the dogs the same way how we equate them with the dogs.
Yeah.
I wish I did. Right? We just, Israelite, it's going to be so many other, such a long list of other nations, we just Israelites only. Right? The brother Tawash, he got a clothing line now, Soldier Tawash. He got Northern Kingdom Clothing is called, and he got the shirt that says Israelite, but it's half. It's part of it's emphasized, which is elite. Because if you just put out the elite, it's elite. You see what I'm saying? So it's Israelite. You see what I'm saying? That's who we are. We are the elite. So it's going to be Israel only. And then they get mad at us when we have camp, we have a high holy day, something like that. And we just only want Israelites to come. We don't want the stranger to come. Why do we want the heathen to come? Because we're elite, and this is only for us, man. All right, later for you other nations, you guys have had time to rule and live splendidly, and now here we are reforming ourselves, coming back to the Most High and Yahweh Shai, and you guys want to come and take that too? Get the hell out of here, man. Get the hell out of here. That's what I said, right?
That's right.
Go ahead.
It says, verse 29, and Yahweh Shai departed from thence and came nigh unto the Sea of Galilee, and went up in a mountain and sat down there. And great multitudes came unto him, having with them those that were lame, blind, dumb, maimed, and many others, and cast them down at Yahweh's feet, and he healed them. Insomuch that the multitude wondered when they saw the dumb to speak, the maimed to behold, the lame to walk, and the blind to see, and they glorified the God of Israel. Then Yahweh called his disciples unto him and said, I have compassion on the multitude.
I have compassion. Right? Why does he have compassion? Because he loves blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. So when he looks at a crowd of us, he has compassion on them. And that's the same type of compassion that we are supposed to have for our people. We're supposed to have compassion for our people. Read on.
Because they continue with me now 3 days and have nothing to eat.
They've just been following me around. They don't have food. They ain't went to the store. They haven't went fishing. They haven't done anything. They haven't picked trees. They just following me around. They just want to hear me and get healed by me. Right? So read it.
It says, and have nothing to eat, and I will not send them away fasting.
I'm not going to tell them leave, and they leave here hungry. I'm not going to do that, right? Because Yahweh Shai has compassion on us people, knowing the situation that we're in. We're not in a different situation now than we were then, right? We uptight now. We in hard times now. We're not the richest people now. We certainly weren't the richest people then, right? Under Roman oppression, the same way we're under Roman oppression today, right? Read.
Lest they faint in the way.
They're going to pass out. They ain't going to make it home if I don't give them something to eat. So he has this compassion on his people. Read on.
It says, and lest they faint in the way. And his disciples say unto him, when should we have so much bread in the wilderness?
So, well, where the hell, how are you going to feed them? Where are you going to get this bread from? Showing a lack of faith. This is the son of the same guy that rained bread out of the sky in the wilderness for 40 consecutive years. And they asked him, where the hell are we going to get the bread from? Jake, simple as hell, man. Right, go ahead.
You just got done making, people that couldn't walk, people that couldn't see. And
you
you're
don't
asking for
think you
some
can provide
bread?
food?
What the hell is wrong with you?
He can do anything. Go ahead.
It says, and his disciples say unto him, when should we have so much bread in the wilderness as to fill so great a multitude? And Yahweh Shai said unto him, how many loaves have you? And they said 7, and a few little fishes. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the ground. And he took the 7 loaves and the fishes, and gave thanks, and brake them, and gave to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitude. And they did all eat, and were filled, and they took up of the broken meat that was left 7 baskets full. And they that did eat were 4,000 men, beside women and children. And they sent away the multitude, and took ship, and came into...
He fed 4,000 people with 7 loaves of bread. You have people out there that are teaching that he didn't do that. Hebrew Israelites. Teaching that he didn't do exactly what the Bible said he just did. Here's the problem. They say, no, that just means he was teaching them. He already taught them early. He'd been teaching them this whole time. So why is it parabolic this last little bit? It's not parabolic. He literally fed 4,000 people with 7 loaves of bread because the man had power from the Most High Yahweh. He had the ability to do it, and he did the same way he had the ability to heal the maimed and the blind and the halt and etc. and the dumb. He had the power to feed 4,000 people with 7 loaves of bread. He had that miraculous ability given to him by his Father. Right? And his followers would be able to do greater things than that. That's what he said. Right? Read on.
And they sent away the multitude and took ship and came to the coast of Magdala. Chapter 16, verse 1. The Pharisees also with the Sadducees came and tempting.
So like you teach on much to get a water.
Tempting, desired him that he would show them a sign from heaven. And that, again, that's why Isaiah 43:10 says, "Ye are my witnesses." Because isn't that what Negroes are always looking for? So-called Black, Hispanics, Native Americans always want a sign. Please, God, give me a sign. Right? Verse 2. He answered and said unto them, when it is evening, ye say, it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning, it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. O ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky, but ye cannot discern the signs of the times. Yeah, our people can discern whether it's going to rain tomorrow or not, but you can't discern the time of the signs of the times. And that's why the scriptures say, on this very next verse, a wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign. And there shall no sign.
And that's all our people want.
Yeah.
A sign. Show me a sign.
Yeah.
And then they're not realizing, see, because when our people ask for a sign, they're not understanding that us even teaching the word of the Most High is a sign.
Yeah.
It said the babes shall confound the wise, right? So us standing on the street corners, changing our lives, coming into the truth, being there, that's a sign. But you want another sign. Drug dealers aren't selling drugs anymore. They're reading the Bible. They're not trying to kill people. They're not trying to pimp women. You know what I'm saying? Not hanging out in the strip club all the time. They're trying to teach the Bible. They spend Saturdays trying to teach the Bible, right? That is a miraculous sign. That's not good enough. I don't know what to tell you, right? But if you won't believe that, if a dead man rose out of a grave in front of you and told you, you wouldn't believe it. You believe nothing. If you won't believe that these Negroes and these Latinos that are on these corners are the men of the Lord teaching you the Bible, telling you the truth, no sign is good enough. Go ahead, officer.
No, because in Acts 2 it says the Israelite sons and daughters will be preaching in the last days, warning them of the coming of the Lord.
That's right. That's right.
And that's what's happening right now.
That's a sign. It says the Spirit shall come in here. You shall dream dreams and prophesy and all those things. The Spirit of prophecy gonna come on us. This is a sign. If that's not good enough, damn it, I don't know what is. Officer.
And then when our people pray to God for a sign, you'll be trying to force fit a sign. Oh, that's got to be the sign. Or when it's a sign that you think is telling you what you didn't want, right? Like, let's say you prayed to God to give you a girl. Then you see a commercial about some drama movie where the guy loses the girl. See, no, God, why?
Just make something up. You know what I'm saying?
That's what our people do. Or you pray to God that, God, I'm not going to get this girl, and then you see a couple walking down the street. Yeah, see that they're united.
This is going to be me.
Yeah. So this is and brothers and sisters got to realize, like, I'm going to get a precept, like I was always bringing out. All the things that happen and lead us into the truth, that is a sign. Everything that you go through into this walk is a sign. This is Sirach 5:15. Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small. So you'll think of something light, whether you deem light, like someone getting off drugs and coming into camp every single week and becoming a full-fledged Israelite, as, that's not a sign. So how the hell are you going to believe something that's really miraculous? So you expect us to believe that, someone rose from the dead in front of you, you would then believe? You would find a way, a Negro will find a way to try to twist that and go, I don't know, who knows what I'm saying. But yeah, that's why the scripture said, I'm going to read it, Matthew 16:4. A wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign. There shall no sign be given unto it, but the sign of the prophet Jonah. That's what, you get the sign of the prophet Jonah.
How did he get the sign of the prophet Jonah? Jonah was in what he called hell for 3 days, which is the belly of the beast. Yahushua was in what they call hell, the grave, 3 days. Right? Go ahead.
It says,
and then he came out of it. Right? Go ahead.
And he left them and departed. Mm-hmm. And when his disciples were come to the other side, they had forgotten to take bread. Then Yahushua said unto them, take heed and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees. So
that didn't fit all them people, right? And then they forgot to pick the bread up and bring it with them, right? So bread is on their mind. And then Yahweh says, beware of leaven. And they, you know what they think of? Bread. Bread. We forgot the bread, right? We'll see what Yahweh says. Yeah, just being simple, right? Go ahead.
And they reasoned among themselves, saying, it is because we have taken no bread.
Right, he's saying that because we didn't bring the bread. He didn't fit all the people with the bread, and we didn't take the bread. First off, he just showed you he could just make bread if you want.
Manifest bread, bro.
So it can't be the bread, right? Go ahead.
When Yahushua perceived, he said unto them, O ye of little faith, why reason ye among yourselves, because ye have brought no bread?
First of all, you have such little faith. Even you just watched me feed 4,000 people with 7 loaves of bread. Your dumb ass still think I'm talking about bread. Oh, ye of little faith, right? Read.
Do ye not yet understand, neither remember the 5 loaves of the 5,000, and how many baskets ye took up? Neither the 7 loaves of the 4,000, and how many baskets ye took up? How is it that you do not understand? I spake it not to you concerning bread.
I'm not talking about bread. How don't you get it yet? How you don't get it? Read.
That ye should beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees.
That's right. Go ahead.
Then understood they how that he bade them not beware of the leaven of bread, but of the doctrine of the Pharisees and of the
Now
Sadducees.
they understand. I got to stay away from the doctrine. What is their doctrine? As we read in 15, their traditions. Their traditions. Go ahead.
It says, when Yahushua came into...
Not to keep the law. That's what they think. See, the Pharisees' doctrine was the law. No, the Pharisees' doctrine was tradition. Right? And their traditional interpretation and additions to the law. Right? Precept officer.
Matthew chapter 23, verse 2. It said, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. But do not ye after their works.
After their works, which is following traditions and denying the laws and denying the power of the Most High. Go ahead.
For they say and do not.
There you go.
Just to add on, it's sort of like the same thing we got going now with Christian pastors, how we shouldn't follow their doctrine because it's not the doctrine of the Bible.
That's right.
It's just doctrine of men.
That's right. Straight traditions. That's what it's all about. That leaven don't let it into your loaf. Right? So read.
This is Matthew 16 and 13. When Yahushua came into the coast of Sicarii, Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And they said, some say that thou art John the Baptist, some Elijah, and others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. He said unto them, but whom say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God.
Go ahead.
And Jesus answered and said unto him, blessed art thou, Simon Barjona, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven.
All right, so the only way you can understand and acknowledge Yahushua as the Hamashiach, of Yasharahla, anointed by the Most High, is if the Most High opens you up to that understanding. That's why everybody can't get it. You have Israelites now that can't get it. Why can't they get it? The Most High is not dealing with them. Right? Go ahead.
And I say unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church.
Peter, which his name in the Hebrew means rock, Tazawar. Yahushua said, I'm building my church off of Peter. He's the foundation of my church, is Peter. Or who again name in the Hebrew is Tazawar. Right, read?
And the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven.
We see this, an example of this in Acts, when you have the couple that lies about the amount of money they had, and as a result of that lie, they drop dead in front of Peter, right? They drop dead. That's showing you that whatever he bound or loosed in heaven was bound or loosed in earth. He wasn't dealing with these liars. They lied to him. He said, y'all lied to the Holy Spirit because the Holy Spirit was dealing with them at that time, right? Directly. So those people dropped dead, right? Because that's the authority that Yahushua gave to them at that time. Right? Read on.
Then charged he his disciples that they should tell no man that he was Jesus the Christ. Yahushua HaMashiach. From that time forth.
So he was telling them, don't tell people this. Right? Why? Because people are supposed to figure this out and put this together on their own. Right? That's why he asked them, well, what are they saying? Who are they saying I am? Some saying this guy. Some saying that guy. Well, who do you say? You saying I'm Hamashiach. Okay, cool. Let's let them come to these same conclusions that I'm Hamashiach. Don't even try to influence them with that. Let's just let them come to the conclusion. Right? Read on.
Come. It says, from that time forth began Yahushua to show unto his disciples how that he must go unto Jerusalem and suffer many things.
He's showing them now. You guys acknowledge I'm a Mashiach. You understand? I got to go to Jerusalem. I got to get on the cross. Something else he had to suffer before. What he had to suffer before the cross?
Him getting chastened.
The high priest putting their hands on him,
Yeah.
right? He had to suffer that. Because if you can't get on the cross if you don't suffer that one first, right? Go ahead.
How that he must go into Jerusalem and suffer many things. I just want to read this part. It says, of the elders and chief priests.
Of who?
The elders.
And who else?
And chief priests.
Read on.
And scribes.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
And be killed and raised again the third day. And to read this part.
Go ahead.
Notice it doesn't mention the high priest. Because Caiaphas, the high priest, he didn't reject Christ. He just acknowledged the prophecy concerning him that he had to die for that nation. Number one. Number two, people always love to say, the Jews rejected Christ, the Jews rejected Christ. No, it says right here.
The elders, the chief priests, and the scribes. Righteous hate Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barakatah Watawata. Go ahead.
Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, be afar from thee, Lord, this shall not be unto thee.
Peter's not having it. Hell no. You're not suffering any of that. That's what's in Peter's mind. Mind you, same guy who pulls out a sword, cut somebody's ear off. He wasn't going for the loss of Yahushua by any stretch of the imagination. He wasn't going for it. Read.
But he turned and said unto Peter, get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me. For thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men.
You, because you're my friend and you don't want to lose a friend, you don't want this to happen. But you're not taking into consideration that this has been divinely set up from the beginning of time. That Yahushua comes and suffer, dies, and buried for the greater good of Israel, for the purpose of the Most High. Instead, Peter chooses, no, I don't want you to go through that. So Yahushua got to rebuke him. Yahushua got to call him Satan, call that demonic spirit that's on him, compelling him to care more about his friendship with somebody than the state of his nation. He got to get that demon off him. Right? Read. It's like you go ahead on.
No, I actually got a question. So you can use this to prove that the disciples didn't have full understanding?
Beautiful.
Because even though Christ explained it to him, he still didn't even get it.
He still didn't get it. You don't see the disciples having full understanding or extremely elevated understanding until about Acts 3. In Acts 3, what happens is you have a face-off between the disciples, which are now being called apostles, and the high priest and the chief priest at that time. And at that time, it was showing you that there was an authority change from Caiaphas and the priesthood to the now apostles. This is why they were disciples at first. Then he sent them out and made them apostles. Now you guys can go out because you have that level of understanding. They didn't have full understanding, but they had a very high level of understanding, right? We still see mishaps later on with James and things of that nature, but for the most part, and as far as Yahushua was concerned, they had full understanding because Yahushua taught them all of those things. Right? So go ahead.
It says, then said Yahushua unto his disciples, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul?
Exactly, and that's a lot of our people now who want to, become rich and famous. They want to lose their soul and gain the world. Tribe Ephraim Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barakatah Watawata. They want to gain the world and lose their soul. That's the problem right there. But Yahushua is saying, well, what profit is there? That's why people they're so empty. They do these drugs. They end up dying and all these various things. Why did this happen? Because they gained the world, but they lost their soul. And that empty life is just a life that's not worth living. So our people begin to hate themselves for living it, and they drive themselves to do destructive behavior that leads to their demise. Right? So read.
For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then shall he reward every man according to his works.
So when Yahushua says, when I return, everyone's going to get according to what they did. Right? Read.
Verily I say unto you, there be some standing here which shall not taste of death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom.
So people typically have a misunderstanding of what that's dealing with. What that's dealing with is seeing Yahushua glorified before they died. And those men saw that at that time period, right? Some of those men. Right? Read on.
This is Matthew, you want to read through 17?
17, yeah, we're going to read it into 17. Go ahead.
Matthew 17:1. And after 6 days, Yahushua taketh Peter, James, and John, his brother, and bringeth them up into an high mountain apart, and was transfigured before them.
He was what?
Transfigured before them.
Read on.
and his face did shine as the sun.
His face shined as the sun. This is important because Moses' face also did this. Moses' face also shined as the sun, right? And it's important to understand that because it was a symbol of wisdom gotten directly from Yahweh that made his face to shine, right? Give me that. Matter of fact, it's a scripture on that. Making his face to shine.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I think it's in the Empire.
Yeah, I believe so.
Is it? Matter of fact, it might not be. No, here we go. This is Ecclesiastes 8:1. Who is as the wise man, and who knoweth the interpretation of a thing? A man's wisdom maketh his face to shine.
Exactly. So the increase in that wisdom make the face to shine. So when the Most High was dealing with Moses and giving him all the wisdom through the laws, his face shined so much. Remember, he had to put the veil on, right? Yahweh Shai in this instance was the same thing. His face was shining, and the disciples, a few of the disciples rather, not all of them, who's there? Peter, James, and John. Those are the only three that's there, and they witnessed this. Read on.
It says, before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elijah talking with him.
So here's Moses and here's Elijah now on the scene with Yahushua, right? Read. Talking to him. Go ahead.
Then answered Peter and said unto Yahushua, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If thou wilt, let us make here 3 tabernacles, one for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elijah.
He's bugging. Okay, now he wants to. This is why Moses' body was hid. Because of this. Right there. And here it is, 1,000 years later, and the Negro trying to do it again, right? Hold that real quick. Give me, what is that, Revelations 11? The 2 witnesses.
Yeah.
Because this is what we have to understand. Yahweh Shai is bringing back something called the order of Melchizedek, right? The Melchizedekite priesthood, right? Malak Tazadak, king righteousness, meaning a king and a priest merging and becoming one thing, right? So when you see Moses and Elijah here, what you're seeing is the culmination of law and prophets. And that's what the 2 witnesses in fact are. When you read about them, a lot of time, another thing we've taught in the past ourselves is that the 2 witnesses are the northern and the southern kingdom. Then it was the 2 witnesses of just the prophets. But in particular, the 2 witnesses are Moses and Elijah, or symbolizing the law and the prophets, right? Because Moses brought the law and Elijah was the most powerful prophet, right? Yahushua says it because he talked about John the Baptist, who is Elijah, being the most powerful prophet. So here we are, and this is going on, right? Moses and Elijah, again, the purpose is to show you that the law and the prophets are there, and now you have Yahushua, which is the culmination of the law and the prophets, the guy who's been talked about in the law, the whole law and the prophets, he's being talked about. So here he is, right? Read.
It's Revelation 11:3. And I'll give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,203 days.
So that's from the time of Moses to the time of John the Baptist, 1,203 days, which is 1,260 years approximately. From the time Moses got us out of, basically the time we went into the land about, to the time we were getting exiled about. Around those 2 time periods, our time in Israel, right? Read.
And clothed in sackcloth. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth.
In previous times, you had Joshua and Zerubbabel, right? Symbolizing that king and priest. They were the 2 witnesses actively on the earth during that time period, right? But you have Yahushua again, which is the culmination of all of it, right? That high priest, right? That king. Read on.
And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth.
Fire proceedeth out of their mouth. The only person fire proceedeth out of their mouth, Moses and Elijah are the only people you've seen do that. So we know who it's talking about, right? Read.
And devoured their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed.
Right, go ahead. So nobody could come against either of those prophets. They got killed, right? Nobody did nothing to them prophets. Go ahead.
It says, these have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophets.
Only Elijah did that. Who else did that? If Moses didn't brought a drought on Egypt, nobody else had these type of powers. So we know clearly by the description who it's talking about. So this helps us to understand what it's symbolizing through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Oh, the law and the prophets. Read.
And have power over waters to turn them to blood. And to,
Who did that, right? Go ahead.
and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will.
See that? Only 2 guys did that. So we know who those 2 witnesses are. Read.
And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascended out of the bottomless pit.
That's it on that.
Okay.
Let's go back to Matthew.
Come.
The transfiguration. Go ahead.
Matthew chapter 17, verse 5. While he yet spoke, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him. And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their face and were sore afraid. And Yahushua came and touched them and said, Arise and be not afraid. And when they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no man save Yahushua only. And as they came down from the mountain, Yahushua charged them, saying, Tell the vision to no man, until the Son of Man be risen again from the dead.
He said, after I rise from the dead, then you can tell people about this. Before that, y'all keep your lips sealed on this issue, right? That's how we got into the Gospel of Matthew. They were told after. Matthew was told after about this, right? Read.
And his disciples asked him, saying, Why then say the scribes that Elijah must first come? And Yahushua answered.
So he said, wait a minute. So I just saw Elijah, right? But you're here. Why was I told that Elijah had to come first? Right? Go ahead.
And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Elijah truly shall first come.
You're right. Elijah's going to come first. Why? Because it's written in Malachi the 4th chapter that Elijah shall come first. Read.
And restore all things. But I say unto you that Elijah is come already.
He already came. Y'all missed him. Right? Read.
And they knew him not.
And you didn't recognize Elijah when he came. You spit in the face of Elijah. You called him crazy. You said he has a devil when he came, right? Read.
But have done unto him whatsoever they listed.
Do whatever you wanted to Elijah. Lock Elijah up and killed him. Beheaded, decapitated Elijah. Who is John the Baptist? Right? Proven emphatically what? Reincarnation or regeneration in the Bible. Read.
Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. Then the disciples understood.
He said, look, they're going to kill me just like they killed John. What are you saying? Go ahead.
Then the disciples understood that he spake unto them of John the Baptist.
Elijah came, he paved the way, he baptized me. And from that point forward, I had the torch. See what I'm saying? That's what it's symbolizing. With the 2 witnesses coming and Yahushua coming, it's symbolizing the passing of the torch. Now Yahushua is culminating his race. Right? Read.
And when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man, kneeling down to him and saying, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is a lunatic, and sore vexed, for oftentimes he falleth into the fire.
Some of y'all parents need to pray for you like this. My son is a lunatic. Have mercy on my son. Some of you niggas need this prayer. Your parents to go and ask Yahushua for your lunatic ass to be saved. Right? Read.
It says, for oftentimes he falleth into the fire and oft into the water.
So what does this mean? This means this boy had seizures, and the seizures that he was having were so violent that it would cause him to fall into fire or water sometimes, which runs the risk of drowning or being burnt. Read.
And I brought him to thy disciples, and they could not cure him. Then Yahushua answered and said,
the disciples didn't have the power to get rid of this demon. The demon was strong. This demon is called a demon of epilepsy, right? That's what they call, when you have a seizure, they call it an epileptic episode. When you deal with the word epileptic in the Greek where it comes from, you understand it means a seizing demon. That demon is seizing you at that moment, right? And that's why you're having a seizure. A demon is one, right? So go ahead.
Then Yahushua answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him hither to me. And Yahushua rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him. And the child was cured from that very hour.
That's right, go ahead.
Then came the disciples to Yahushua apart and said, Why could not we cast him out? And Yahushua said unto them, Because of your unbelief.
That's right. That's why he says, oh, you faithless children. He said if the disciples had more faith, they could have healed him, but they didn't have enough faith. They didn't have enough belief. And that hampered their power. And that'll hamper any. Not having enough faith is going to hamper your power. It's going to hamper your ability always. Because you're doing something that's not pleasing to the Most High. It's impossible to please Him without faith. So your lack of faith is not pleasing to Him, so that He's not using you the way you would like to be used. He's not giving you the power that you should rightfully have because you're not having enough faith. Right, read?
Because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Howbeit, this kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting.
Right, so you can't just do this. You got to pray and fast before you try to heal this. And he got to pray and fast. Everybody need to pray and fast. As many people as we get involved praying and fast before trying to get a devil of this magnitude, a demon of this magnitude off of an individual. Right, so go ahead.
Verse 22, and while they abode in Galilee, Yahushua said unto them, the Son of Man shall be betrayed into the hands of men, and they shall kill him, and the third day he shall be raised again. And they were exceeding sorry. And when they were come to Capernaum, they that received tribute money came to Peter, and said, doth not your master pay tribute? He said, yes. And when he was coming to the house, Yahushua prevented him, saying, what thinkest thou, Simon, of whom do the kings of the earth take custom or tribute? Of their own children or of strangers?
Right, so he's talking about the taxes that we had to pay to the Romans, right? Go ahead.
Peter said unto him, of strangers.
Right, so he says strangers, not people who are not related to the ruling powers, are going to have to pay the ruling powers, right? Acknowledging what? More racism, more separatism, more segregation. Go ahead.
It says, Peter said unto him, of strangers, Yahushua said unto him, then are the children free. Notwithstanding, lest we should offend them, go thou to the sea and cast an hook, and take up.
Basically, Yahushua said, I'm not with paying these people. But to not to offend, I'm gonna tell you where you can go find some money at, right? This is crazy. Go ahead.
And take up the fish that first cometh up, and when thou hast opened his mouth, thou shalt find a piece of money. Take and give unto them for me and thee. So
he said, look, go get a fish. The first fish you catch, he's gonna have some money. Take it. I'm not spending none of my money that I have. Go find this money, and you give it to him. To hell with these devils. I'm not giving them a damn dime. That's what Yahushua said. Right? No lack of faith is not a lack of works, brother. Lack of faith is a lack of faith. A lack in the actual belief that you have in this truth and in Yahushua. The actual faith. Okay? Now your faith manifests through your works, right? But faith is still faith. Okay? Faith and works are balance each other out, but they're not the same thing. One without the other is obsolete, but they're not the same thing. Faith is a belief that you have. Okay? But with that, we're gonna wrap up class. Check us out tomorrow. We got a couple debates, most I 1 and 2 lined up for Wednesday, as well as Friday. We're gonna bring Free Smoke Fridays back after a hiatus. So look for that. But with that, we're gonna give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh.